be 100% gasless. Okay, well, if that's the case, then this is our last ditch effort to actually, make the money. I understand, but clearly the path we were on, it's time to pretty much shelf whatever agenda you had and really get on board with putting America first so we can make sure that America is not harmed. We already been through destruction for the past 3 to 4 years when it comes to riots, when it comes to, our communities being destroyed, a pandemic, everything. But right now, it's a time to grow. And we cannot grow if we continue to be distracted and let little homies like Zelensky make us get more involved. Why don't you just take your 600 million and leave the country? Because we cannot, as Americans, make sure that you keep your country together, because we know if they start shooting bombs and rockets over here, you're not going to help. And based on the past, you would join forces with them. So it seems like on the global stage, America is being played and is a pawn on the global stage right now. Because when you basically play with the pawn and say, this pawn needs to do better, this pawn needs to help us out, this pawn needs to, shut down the sky, you basically trying to get this pawn knocked off the chessboard so a pawn could get the king or the queen. It's not chess, it's checkers. So we don't know if Zelensky is a part of what's going on in Russia. We don't know if Zelensky is having conversations with Putin and somehow Putin has convinced him to go ahead and get that $600 million and basically provoke and make America get involved so they can actually have an issue with us. You got to understand laws of power. You got to understand laws of power. Shut down the sky. Really? More modern weapons, troops on the ground. Really? We're not going to do that. So, Mr. Zelensky, you're on your own on this one, man. So make a decision. Take that 600 million and they're going to get what they are going to get their land. When you have a 40-mile convoy, yeah, we have a 40-mile convoy, 40 miles, they already in there. So it's just a matter of time. And what got to me is, and this is Friday, the closeout show for the week. And so we're really just talking about the happenings. And on Tuesday, President Biden did his address. And at the end of that address, he's on record. And you can actually Google it. He was like, he doesn't say, God bless these United States. He said, and I quote, God bless you. God bless you all. May God bless our troops. And go get them. Go get them. Go get who? Could you imagine if the Russian soldiers were sitting back and Putin was watching as well, and they looked at the speech and they said, oh, it's this Biden is not the bad guy. And then he says, go get him. Go get him. You just gave 600 million to Ukraine. So you're telling Ukraine to go get us. Putin sees that, takes that propaganda and does a national interview or a national speech on television and use that rhetoric that Biden used to convince all Russians that we are here to liberate Ukraine and make sure that Ukraine doesn't be taken down and they don't take down Russia. So all Russians, based on their propaganda, is on the same sheet of music using Biden's own words. Go get them. So if I was at war and the person that gave if the person gave the country 600 million that I'm with and they say, go get them, it's easy for me to assume that he's telling them that received the 600 million to go get us. So if that's the case, this is why Putin really pressed the line. And this is why those nuclear reactors and everything is shut down. Now, the television is so powerful. They could frame it any way that they want to frame it. So we don't really know what's going on. So we got to pay attention. But whatever's going on right now is not good because they are destroying towns. And they say places where, they store weapons and things like that. They're saying that their strikes are strategic, but, some outlets are saying, casualties. And this is not good. And we don't want that over here. So I think what Zelensky needs to do is really have some common sense because they want you, bruh. So they want you and you want us to get involved. Nah, that's not how it's going down. Now, this is where we are right now. So, and like I said before, this is an opportunity to do what we need to do. You know, but when Biden pumped his fist and frowned his face like a coach and told him, go get him. Yeah. I was sitting like, yeah, okay. Now Russia saw that 600 million aid, reacted with it, a mass takeover. And that's what's going on right now. And Zelensky trying to get us involved when we should be less involved and, you know, put our country first and, you know, do more for our citizens. And so when people come here, they can actually live the American dream, because the dream is actually is diminishing. And us as black people, you know, we was refugees and slaves when we left Africa, according to their history. You know, we left the South as refugees and headed west and north as refugees. You know, so now we have an opportunity to do what we need to do now, you know, for what was considered impossible in the past. Now, these are grand distractions, you know, to keep us disorganized. And this is why Conservatives of America-COA, which is our brand, Conservatives of America-COA.org. That's who we are powered by. And conservative basically means, in short, God, man, woman, and child. And God is not respecter of persons. So is God, man, woman, we're together, and children, the nuclear family. OK, a better Black America. Seats for peace. Black men march on L.A. So here in L.A., we are spearheading the mass exodus of the two-party system. That's right. Here on the West Coast, we are establishing a mass exodus of the two-party system. Okay. A Better Black America podcast is where we're going to be having these conversations. Conservatives of America-COA is the driving force. That's where the donations are. That's where our idolatry is. This is where the organizations where we actually amend the 13th Amendment. Okay, our podcast is monetized. All fundings, everything goes to amending the 13th Amendment and starting to seek out and select political ingenuity when it comes to people and find candidates that's, you know, for a new frontier, because we never got an opportunity to establish ourselves. And we know why. But until the criminalization clause is off the Constitution, then we will always be behind the 8 ball. Now, if you look at Kim Porter was a woman that killed Dante Wright, and she thought it was a taser. And if you didn't see it, go to my YouTube channel. They flagged you got to be 18 years and over to watch it, but it's there. And you will see exactly what's going on. I broke it down, but somehow we missed that she was convicted of murdering Dante Wright, but somehow we missed around February 14th, around Valentine's Day, that weekend, we missed it because she was only sentenced to 2 years. And if that was a public situation, there would have been rioting and looting for her just getting 2 years. But somehow it was able to fly under the radar. And we didn't even know what went on. We saw her get convicted. We saw her get pushed in the back like Derek Chauvin, take off her chain, put those handcuffs on and walk to the back. But to only get 2 years for killing a black man, and you said taser, 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 when you know you didn't have a taser in your hand. But one thing I can say is she was on her best behavior at the trial, and the judge made that decision. I think she was facing, 2 to 6 years, and the judge gave her 2. Because somehow she was able to convince the jury that it was an accident. Not mad at her, but to understand this is what you call systemic racism. You kill a black man, say you did it by accident, you get 2 years. But then a black man kill a black man. I saw on First 48, a brother pleaded guilty and got life. How do you plead guilty and get life? Go to trial and get life. You don't plead guilty and get life. See, that's just in this Louisiana, slave. So that's just, misinformed, just ignorance, pure ignorance. Pure ignorance. So we are in March right now. We got out of Black History Month, and we're going to push forward, but I'm going to go ahead and close out with this. Now, the Crown Act. The Crown Act did not pass. The Crown Act was spearheaded by Cory Booker, a bald-headed brother. So how can a bald-headed brother spearhead a Senate bill or a congressional bill or an act about natural hairstyles? So in a last-ditch effort on the last day of Black History Month, the Democratic Party put the Crown Act on the floor to try to pass some legislation right before the State of the Union, and they didn't get a chance to do none of that. And I saw a few headlines when it comes to that. And let me see if I can find it real quick. But the crazy thing about it, BET was pretty strong on their reaction. And I can't find it right now. But the title pretty much said, the Republicans failed to join the Democrats on this bipartisan bill. And I'm going to sit back and say this. When you have the majority in the Congress and you have the majority in the House, I mean, in Congress and in the House, when you have the majority in the Senate and the majority in the House, and you can't pass a bill, you can't blame it on Republicans. Okay, you can't blame it on Republicans, because I know without shadow of a doubt, all Democrats didn't vote on that. And I tried to do some research and find it, but they tucked it a little bit. But I'm going to just let you know, if you change that bill and not call it the Crown Act, because the Crown Act is to basically stop the discrimination against natural hairstyles, and is more importantly for Black people, no one is going to vote for something that would actually suggest putting a crown on a Black woman's head. Because if we do so, then they have to talk about putting a crown on the Black woman's man's head, and that's a king. And there's nobody and no race on this planet outside of the British that could say was kings and queens but us. And, in the British, that's parliament. We're talking about kings and queens, rulers, just like the word niggas, N-E-G-U-S, N-E-G-U-S, kings, rulers, emperor, sovereign. We're a sovereign group of people. So one thing we understand, if we can all get on the same sheet of music, we could push the line just like Russia did. Because we have the power and we have the majority here in this nation if we stick to race. If you talk about ethnicity, that's the divide and conquer. Because I'm tired of arguing with my brothers and you telling me about your sexual preference, but you're still a brother, bruh. I'm tired of arguing with my sisters, wanting to have conversations about any and everything but the entire race. I'm so tired of looking at our political system and our agenda, and we don't see any resemblance of what we used to be, but we see everything of what they're trying to change us to be. So what this is a call to your spirit. This is a call to your moral, because we are going to be the most moral culture, morality, God-fearing, God-loving. Doesn't mean weak. Just imagine if Goliath, remember David and Goliath? Just imagine if Goliath got the Holy Ghost and little David rolled up with a slingshot and Goliath took his helmet on and took that man serious. He would have destroyed David. That's why little brothers don't go around and saying, oh, I'm David, because Davids typically don't destroy Goliaths. We saw that, but it took the power of God to do that. So we're giants and we're Goliaths in this land, and we're going to take the power of God to basically do what our ancestors couldn't do. And that's to create a better Black America, which means a better America for all. And don't be scared of the word Black, because it's inclusive. Black, Latin, Asian, Caucasian, kinsman. That's our time, y'all. Till next time, a better Black America.